Pistachio is one of my favorite flavors. I haven't made pistachio macarons in several years because they're a lot of extra work. Enough people have requested this tutorial that I decided to go ahead and make these. Start by removing the shells of dry roasted and unsalted pistachios. This is the most tedious part of the whole process. Pulse the pistachios in a food processor or a blender. Be careful not to overblend them or you'll release the oils and it will turn into a paste. Sift the pistachios. You'll need to return the larger pieces of pistachios to the blender, continue pulsing them and sifting them several times until you have enough pistachio flour for your recipe. I lost track of how many times I had to repeat this process. Next time I need to use a blender or food processor with a sharper blade. I kept some of the coarser pieces to use as decoration on top. I used 4 large egg whites, which came out to 127 grams. I used 127 grams of granulated sugar and 6 grams of egg white powder. The egg white powder is optional, you can leave it out. For regular macarons, we would be using 152 grams of almond flour, but since we're doing pistachio, we're going to replace 18% of the almond flour with the pistachio flour. So we're going to use 27 grams of pistachio flour and 125 grams of almond flour. Next, we're going to sift out 152 grams of powdered sugar. Follow all of the steps in my original macaron tutorial. I created a playlist so that you can easily find all of my macaron tutorial videos. I'm adding a little bit of leaf green and a little bit of moss food coloring to get a nice pistachio green color on our shells. Combine the dry ingredients into the meringue and deflate the batter until it flows off your spatula in a continuous ribbon. Pipe out the macarons and let them rest until they form a skin on the top. For me, this takes about 15 minutes, but in different climates that have more humidity, it can take 45 minutes to an hour. I decorated the top shells with some melted white chocolate and then sprinkled some of the coarser pieces of the pistachios on top. The filling is a white chocolate pistachio ganache. I used the recipe by Chell's Sweets. I made a batch of filling that would be enough to fill 3 to 4 dozen macarons, so you can definitely cut down this recipe if it's too much for you. I used 85 grams of shelled pistachios, 255 grams of heavy cream, and 340 grams of white chocolate. After heating up the heavy cream and pistachios on the stove or in the microwave, pour it over the white chocolate. Once the white chocolate has melted, use an immersion blender or pour the mixture into a food processor or blender to combine it. Cover it with plastic wrap and set it in the fridge to chill for a few hours. And that's how you make pistachio macarons.